Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fifth Growth Machine podcast. I'm Brian Royson, your host, and today I'm going to interview Will Lawrenson. He's a CRO consultant from the UK and host of the Customers Who Click podcast. We are going to discuss more about CRO or conversion rate optimization and why it's relevant for 2023. But before talking to him, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. At BSR Digital, we help e-commerce brands that want to scale their business to the next level through Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. Yes, even after the iOS 14 update, now more than ever, we need to understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy, as what used to work doesn't anymore. So if your e-commerce brand lacks a solid plan and professional team to increase sales, we can help the same way we have helped more than 1,000 brands like yours for over a decade. To learn more, you can visit us at bsrdigital.com.
Okay.
Now, as promised, I have Will here with me. Hey, Will, thanks for being on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So why don't you start by telling the audience more about your story?
Yeah, sure. So my background's always been marketing, kind of B2C marketing, but I started off in a few startups. And this is what actually kind of led me to CRO, really. It was something that I was doing anyway, but I didn't know about CRO. I knew about A/B testing, but I didn't know CRO as a concept. But really came about because when I was at these startups, we were handed budgets for marketing, for acquisition, and basically told, go advertise, go grow the company. And that was the expectation, was that by spending money on advertising channels, we'd grow the business. And obviously with startups, you might have found product market fit. You might have confirmed that, yes, people want this product, people are using it. In some of these cases, they were apps, digital products. We were still having serious conversion issues and serious retention issues. So I started to speak to customers more, and really and look into the data to really find out, why weren't people sticking around with these products, and then started working more closely with the product team, development team, to actually build new functionality or change things within the app so that we can actually improve those key metrics. And yeah, I did this at 2 different startups in a row, and then joined a company as head of conversion. And then in November 19, I went out on my own to consult with businesses. But yeah, it basically came about because I got frustrated with being told, you're not acquiring customers at a good enough CPA. Our customers aren't sticking around. Like, what are you doing about it? And the tools that I was given to do something about it were essentially spend more money on advertising and send emails to them to try and convert them, to try and retain them. So that kind of pushed me down that route of, it's not the marketing that's an issue, it's the product. So how do we fix the product?
That's awesome. Yeah. So could you please tell the audience, or those in the audience that don't know what CRO is, could you please tell them what it is and why it's important?
Yeah, sure. So CRO is conversion rate optimization. It's basically a process around improving the user experience on a website, improving the customer journey. In fact, I should correct myself. It's not just the website. It gets a little complex. So I think for the purpose of this, we'll stick to the website. But yeah, CRO can be used to improve pretty much anything in a business, right? It's a bit of an ongoing debate around whether conversion rate optimization is the right term for what we do. But the feedback that I get, the insights that I get from speaking to customers, doing the research and running tests, doesn't just involve trying to improve the conversion rate of a website. It can be average order values as well, trying to get people to spend more. But it also can be around getting people to take certain actions, or it could be around the post-purchase experience. How do we activate people on the product better? I've got examples of companies that I've spoken to where they found that they had to do a lot of education on the activation phase, right? So once people had purchased, because if they didn't experience the product correctly very quickly, they would drop off, right? And that's something you have to learn. You have to do research on, then you do testing. And so that's an aspect of what most good CRO consultants and agencies will touch on as well.
Yeah, I agree. Probably, improving the conversion rate is one of the many things that you guys do, right? Because the conversion rate could be improved in good ways or in not so good ways, let's say. So, for example, if you run a really aggressive promotion, probably you'll get more customers, but the revenue will go, down, and probably is not what the company wants. So there are many ways of improving the conversion rate, but you actually help them to not only improve the conversion rate, but hopefully improve the revenue and bottom line, right?
Yeah. So, certain tests that we look at, the end goal of them is always to improve conversion and revenue. That is the point. But sometimes the primary objective of a test, you're not necessarily looking at conversion rate as the real goal of that test. I've got two examples. One is search, right? So I've run tests where really the primary goal of the test is to increase interaction with search. I want more people to open the search function, to type in something, and to use search, because I know that people who use search are more likely to convert. Now, once you know that piece of information, there are two ways you can look at it. One is, incorrectly, people who search convert better, therefore we should make everyone search. Right? That doesn't work, because there are lots of people who don't want to search. They don't know what to search for. So it's not as simple as just, stick a massive search function in front of people as soon as they land on the website. The real thing is, the people who want to search are higher intent already. They are looking to purchase because they're looking for a specific product. So by making search more visible to them, I'm increasing engagement with search, which then improves conversion, because those people find the search function, they can find what they're looking for, and they will go and purchase. The other example I've got is I used to work with a custom PC building website. So these PCs would be at least £1,500, $2,000, up to maybe $4,000 or $5,000. So it's a big decision to make. And also because it's custom, and we were asking customers to do a lot of the work on that, there's a lot of anxiety around it. It's, have I picked the right pieces? Have I made the right selections here? Am I graphics card is the right one to use with this processor, or vice versa? How much memory do I need? All these sort of questions we had to make sure they're answered. What I discovered was that customers who add PCs to their wish list are more likely to convert. And I suppose arguably there is a bit more intent there. They're not just browsing because they are saving it, but the point is they were saving it for later, possibly to go do some research, possibly because they just couldn't afford it right now, and they realized, oh, actually, maybe I need to wait a month. I need payday, and then I can come back and make that purchase or whatever. But by allowing them to save it to wish list, we then triggered some reminder emails, and they had that configuration set, which meant that they could very easily come back, make a few little tweaks when they were ready, and complete that purchase. So, when I run that test, I'm not looking for an improvement in conversion rate from that test, really, because that's not what I'm expecting to happen, because the whole purpose of the test is I'm expecting the conversion to come later. But I want to increase the interaction with the wishlist function, get more people saving their PCs, their custom PCs, to the wish list, and then they will come back and make that purchase.
Yeah, so those were great examples for people to get a better idea on what this is all about. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like this works like per projects. Like, if you have a goal of, if you find one insight, for example, the search case they mentioned, probably you need to work towards making, search more visible for the visitors that I don't know, that will work best, and not for others that probably are in discovery mode or so. And the same with the wish list example. So my question is, imagine that we have a lot of e-commerce brands listening to this, and it's 2023. the holiday season is over, they did great, hopefully, and now they are saying, how does this work? Should I give you, Will, the insights on what I want to improve, or should I say, probably our website needs improvement. Hey, we'll take a look and find some insights.
Yeah, that's normally the way it happens. The latter. We think there are improvements to be made, but they don't know where, or it's possible that they think there is a problem, and actually the problem's not really where they think it is. I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, we think our checkout's a problem. We've got too much drop off there." And actually, when you look at their products and their industry, and you consider the purchase journey, maybe drop off at checkout is a bit higher because of the type of products. They're more expensive products. People have to be absolutely sure they're making the right decision. Because even with things like free returns, right? People don't want to spend £2,000 and then, I don't know, wait a week or so, receive the product, realize that it's not quite right, send it back. By the time they get that £2,000 back, it could be 2-3 weeks later, and that money's out of their account, not doing anything for them. So people don't want to return. So you've got to make sure they're ready to purchase. So vast majority of the time, the biggest improvements I see are either improving the product pages by answering questions, so making sure people fully understand the features and benefits of a product, and then also improving the checkout, but by removing things. This is normally where I find the biggest successes. I've had clients who they've added a bunch of widgets to the checkout process, and we've tested removing them one by one, and each removal has generated money for them because they're just not right. They don't fit in with the journey. They're trying to add a bit of pressure to the sales process, and it just doesn't work in that industry. It might work in others where people want products immediately, but where someone's happy to wait a bit of time, or they need to make the right decision. These things don't work. But yeah, I would actually say that the vast majority of success is focusing on products. Making sure that if someone lands on a product page, they can clearly see what the product is. They can understand that it fits their needs, and that also they're going to benefit from it.
You have at the top of your mind some common mistakes that you see across the board when you onboard, e-commerce brands, or even as a customer when you visit e-commerce stores? What are the common, mistakes that they make?
So I'd say a general problem is installing apps and things that promise 30-40% uplifts in conversion rate. Vast majority of time, that 30-40% has come from one use of that product, of that app, on one particular website, possibly in a very different category, and they've decided to use that statistic. And realistically, they'll bump up conversion by maybe a couple of points if you're lucky. But also, these apps tend to focus on aspects of conversion that are after someone's decided to buy the product. Right, so it will be, maybe you've got a shipping calculator, right, and it says you need to spend $20 more to get free shipping. But for those people who've already added that amount to cart, it says, cool, you get free shipping today, and that improves conversion. But it only works if people have added products to cart in the first place, and that's not going to happen if they're not convinced by the product. So I'd say just general use of apps and not really thinking about the apps properly, and just saying, oh, it promises 20% uplift, so it's got a 14-day trial. Let's try it out. It gets stuck on a website and then left. Then the other two big mistakes on product pages are not good enough images. So just having a couple of images on there, which are generally stock or stock style images. You want lifestyle images in there. They work really well. So get people showing off the products. Ideally, if you can get UGC, so get your customers to send in those images, that's better. But otherwise, just have people in the photos looking happy using your products, looking like they're benefiting from them. And also try out annotated images. So if you look at Amazon these days, almost every product on Amazon has an annotated image on there, which will have the product on it, and it will also list several features, several benefits as well. Right, I guarantee if you, on mobile or desktop, if you have a mini image gallery, so the thumbnails below the hero image, and one of those thumbnails is an annotated image, clearly annotated image, you look on heat maps 2 weeks after you've put that image in there, and that image will be clicked the most. People will just go straight to that image to click it.
Interesting, because I'm thinking, sorry to cut you off. One small thing, I think, of myself in situations of, trying to buy or do some research on products, and you're right, it's one of those images that I click the most on, and to read what the features, if it's a backpack, if it has pockets and the size or whatever, so it's I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, you want to see, sometimes it's just your standard benefits and things, but sometimes it's pointing out things and saying that there's 2 pockets here, there's another pocket here for a water bottle, whatever. And the final mistake is just having a couple of bullet points for your product description and leaving it quite functional, right? So you've got to answer the questions people have. So if it's a backpack, for example, it's, how many pockets does it have? How many compartments does it have? Will it fit my laptop in? Is it big enough to hold the size of laptop that I've got? All these things. But outside of the kind of functional questions people ask to say, is this right for me? You've also got to add that level of motivation to it. So, once I've found a backpack that I like the look of, and I know it meets my requirements, do I, because it's not an urgent it's rarely an urgent purchase, right? How many times are you thinking, like, I've got to have a backpack now, need it right now? So if you don't have that urgency for the product, then it means you've got to kind of create that feeling of, I need to have this now, right? It's not, I might need the product in a week to use it, but the product page should make someone feel like I want this in my hands tomorrow because this seems so cool, so awesome. It's going to make a difference to my life. You can even do it with a backpack, right? You can make someone get to that point where they're thinking, I want this tomorrow so that I can check it out and I can start putting stuff in the bag, see how it fits, and they get excited about it. Right. So that's the thing a lot of brands miss. They list some of the features, they kind of they put their product descriptions quite a functional, this is a backpack, this is how many pockets it has, this is the material, and that sort of thing. And it, like I said, it ticks off those requirements for someone, but it doesn't excite them. That's the bit you need to work on.
That's interesting, because many times, I could say many people or brands we have worked with, they typically see that clearly for the rest of their marketing efforts, right? If they post on social media, if they do ads, if they do any other marketing effort, I don't know, traditional media, they would probably focus more on the emotional rather than on the functional benefits. But when it comes to the website, probably it's the other way around, right? So do you think that there's a place in the product page where brands should, probably it's the product description, as you said, where brands should be focusing more on the emotional rather than on the functional?
Yeah, it can be images and description. Yeah,
Right.
both good places for it. Again, like images, you need those functional images. So you need the kind of hero image of a plain product. Then you want to get the annotated ones in, which are the features, right? Marking out which pockets are which, blah blah blah. And then you want the exciting ones. You want to see, I don't know, someone traveling, right? Someone looking like they're wearing it comfortably on the underground or the tube or whatever. Or you want to see someone wearing a suit, and you're thinking, oh, okay, my concern was, does this look professional? Does it look like it would go with a suit? Yes, it does. Great.
Yeah.
But so it's these, it's these images which, get people excited about it because they're thinking, yes, this is going to look good on me for what I need it for.
Yeah, and what you're mentioning is very interesting, and I think that it all starts in defining your avatars and not only defining them on paper or in a slideshow. You actually need to talk to your customers if you do have, and try to understand, read the reviews, the good, the bad, interview them, understand the good, the bad, what they like, what they don't like, and actually put something together for them. If you're doing some lifestyle images, many brands nowadays partner up with some, I don't know, influencers or even other brands, and that gives them the human touch that you're talking about. Many brands we work with, they do what they call edits, so they do an entire collection around these specific artist or whatever, and that's actually something that boosts their conversion because they are, associating their brand and products to the experience that they choose, artist or whatever, so that's pretty important. So it all starts with defining your audience, the message. I understand that that's there. So I understand that if anyone is saying, Will, I really want to, improve my conversion rate. I really want people to come to my website to convert. I don't want to waste ad dollars because the acquisition cost has increased, lately. So I want to make the most out of, the user experience on the website. How should I start? What's your process? Do you have a process? How does it work? How long does it take?
So it always starts with customer research, right? So there's not really any way I can start working with a new client and just immediately suggest some tests, right? Unless their website is terrible, in which case, there's probably some opportunity there. But there's so many tests that require knowledge of the products and an understanding of what customers want. So if you don't do that research, you're just randomly testing. You might get lucky. Chances are you're not, and you're going to see get some bad test results. So the way I normally do it is I'll dive into Google Analytics and have a look for where in the funnel we're having problems, whether there's something that stands out or whether the brand has a pretty standard sessions on site, sessions to product view, to add to cart, and the like. If you see a massive drop off at one of those points, that makes you think, oh, okay, here's where we need to target first. Then we'll look at heat maps and session recordings to see what people are doing on those pages and what we think might be causing a problem. And then we'll go to quite often a email survey. And this could be an email out to non-purchasers. So quite often it'd be the abandoned cart list for the last 90 days or something. And we'll just ask, what was the number one reason you didn't complete your purchase? And wait for that feedback to roll in. And then again, as part of this, it'll be customer interviews. So getting actual customers on, people who have purchased within about the last 60 days, maybe 90 at a push, and just finding out why they purchased. What was it that on that day got them to open up their computer, go back to the website and make that purchase? What were they trying to achieve? What's the result they're trying to get from it? What's important to them about that product? And taking all that feedback together, and then this helps you build out that testing pipeline.
That already sounds, of course, the end goal is conversion rate, but it's clear that it's way more than that, right? As you're saying, it's analysis, it's understanding your clients, your people who chose not to buy from you as well, getting feedback from them, and putting together a solution. My question always is, let's say, for those listening in case they have the question, I do, for example, it's like, how do I know if what I'm doing is okay? Let's say I have a decent website that I'm doing okay. I have no project like ahead of, I don't know, increasing the AOV or something like that. how do I know if my conversion rate is standard for my industry or for my AOV or for whatever reason, or how do I know if it needs improvement or if there's a lot of room for improvement, or how do you guys know typically?
I mean, there are some benchmarks you can go and look at, but really, actually, so one thing I find weird is people ask for a benchmark, which is normally the average, right? And they look at it and go, "Oh, okay, we're on the benchmark," and they see that as a good thing. If the benchmark for the industry is, let's say, 2% conversion rate, and they've got a 2, 2.1, maybe 2.5, to them that's, well, this is amazing. We're above the benchmark, and actually the benchmark's the average, right? So it's being pulled up by some brands who are doing very, very well, and it's also being pulled down by some brands who are just horrific, right? They've got terrible websites, their marketing's bad, and their conversion rate's terrible. So I don't really like using benchmarks in that sense. For me, the benchmark is, what is your conversion rate? Great, let's improve it. It's as simple as that, really. There's almost always going to be opportunity. There are very few websites I take a look at, and I think, I don't know if I can do anything with this.
Okay.
There's always opportunity to improve it. And then also, one thing to bear in mind is, if your conversion rate is, if you'd consider it high, then maybe you're just not driving enough traffic. You're not filling the top of the funnel enough. You can get more people to your website. You'll convert more of them. Your conversion rate will come down because you're driving more traffic, and fewer of those people are going to be ready to purchase. But they then go into remarketing. They go into your email lists, and eventually, some of them will come back and buy again. So I think, there's always opportunity to explore it.
Yeah, and about the traffic, since you mentioned traffic, I know there's no one number or the right, amount of traffic to get to make this worthwhile for an e-commerce brand. I'm talking about CRO efforts, but do you think there's a minimum to make it viable for brands listening to this or watching? Is there any minimum? I mean, or is it either volume or time? You can have low volume, but then it's more time to test something. How does it work?
A little bit. You don't want to be running a test for too long, though, because you get impacted by seasonality and all that sort of thing. So you want to keep tests to less than probably a month at max, I'd say. Other than that, it's traffic mainly. It's how much traffic can we push through these tests. That determines the length of time required, really. I'd be looking for a brand to have at least 100,000 unique sessions a month in order to do A/B testing. If you're below that, then maybe A/B testing is not going to be right, but there's going to be loads of other opportunity. Right? You can still do the research, do the surveys, do the customer interviews, and just play around with some changes on the website, based on that, and then just monitor your conversion rate. But I would do that if you're probably less than 50,000 a month. You could just make changes.
Awesome.
But the A/B testing aspect of it does require the traffic.
Okay. It was very, very insightful. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge. It was great, and I really enjoyed the conversation. To wrap up the call or the interview, what we usually do is to ask the guest if they have any favorite book. It could be business related or not, right? Industry related or not. But if you have any book or mentors or people you follow, to give them a shout out or to recommend to the audience.
So a book I'm actually reading at the moment is Demand Side Sales, which is just fantastic. It is all about understanding what is driving that purchase for a customer. So I definitely recommend that. The other one I really enjoyed was the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. That's what it is. Really good book. Yeah, I really recommend that.
Okay, awesome. I don't know, any influencers, people you follow, mentors, in case you want to mention any that comes to mind?
Um, I love everything that Rishi Rawat puts out there. So check him out on LinkedIn. His newsletter is really good as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely recommend him.
Awesome. So for you guys listening or watching this video, everything will be in the show notes. So if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platform, head on over to fitgrowthmachine.com, find the episode, and there you will find all the show notes. And if you are already there, scroll down and you will see them right there. It was a pleasure to have you, Will. Where can people go to find you and find out more about your company as well?
Yes, you can either go to customerswhoclick.com, which is the website, drop me an email, will@customerswhoclick.com, or follow me on LinkedIn. It's just Will Lawrenson. I share loads of CRO content on LinkedIn, so that's probably the best place to just follow me if you're interested in learning more.
Awesome, will do. So thank you again for being here. I really appreciated the conversation.
No problem. Thank you for having me.